He crossed over from his sitting room to the cupboard on the landing where he kept his linen. And as he did so, he heard someone coming up the stairs. He stood still a moment on the landing to listen, but then the steps ceased suddenly, and he heard no more. He went into his bedroom and packed his pumps and dress shirts as best he could. The kit bag by this time was 2/3 full and stood upright on its own base like a sack of flour. For the first time in his life, he began to feel a little creepy. Then, as though to emphasize this feeling, an odd thing happened. As he left the bedroom, he noticed that the top of the kit bag lopped over toward him with an extraordinary resemblance to a human face. The canvas fell into a fold like a nose and a forehead, and the brass rings for the padlock just filled the position of the eyes. A shadow looked like hair. It gave him rather a turn, for it was so absurdly, so outrageously like the face of John Turk, the murderer. That horrid case has got on my mind, he thought. He was packing the bag, and the bag was John Turk. The idea was utterly horrible and repulsive, but it was not to be banished. It was the kit bag, standing upright before him, and he was packing it. And the brass rings were eyes, and the nose was a fold, and the mouth was a crease. He suddenly left the bag and went over to the washing stand. His own face was white. A blind, unreasoning terror suddenly possessed him. He slipped the heavy bolts on the inside of the door and returned to the sitting room, leaving the bedroom door open. He first drank a glass of whiskey neat, and then went to the telephone. He would ring up a friend and get him to come and spend the night. Johnson, however, heard no word of all this, for at the same moment a sound in the adjoining room caught his ear, and he dropped the receiver. It was a sound of something moving. It was a heavy, dull sound, as of a body falling. He stood there, petrified, staring at the open door. A brief, agonizing second passed. Then he saw the kit bag, as though filled by a slowly rising human form, was heaving and moving. It had risen and now actually stood upright, while the top portion, bending over strangely, seemed to be looking at him. He was unable to move or speak. He saw the outlines of a figure, a head, shoulders, and body, forcing the loose canvas into the rude semblance of a human shape. It was lurching towards him. In the hall, the porter and the page boy heard a series of shrieks that ended in a horrible choking sound. And, running up, they burst the door open. Johnson was lying on his face in the sitting room, and the kit bag lay empty in the bedroom.